Tonight on CTV News, a business riddled with bullets.
What they want is they want the public to be afraid. They want us to be afraid.
More extortion violence targeting a South Asian business in Surrey. What police are saying about this unrelenting crime spree.
We do have this warming, drying condition, which is very unique for late August.
Late summer danger, scorching temperatures spark wildfire concerns in the Fraser Canyon and on Vancouver Island.
And what's clearly established through this Integrity Commissioner report is that, and even through the mayor's statement, is they don't believe that those rules apply to them.
Ken Sim's ABC party under fire for violating open meeting rules. What it could cost taxpayers.
This is CTV News with Mi Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a troubling trend in Surrey. Yet another business is the victim of a shooting. And once again, police say it's criminals who are trying to extort money from the owners. St. John Alexander is live at 128th and 80th Avenue outside Sedin Travel. And St. John, it's happening so often, police wouldn't be surprised if there are copycats.
Yeah, and often those copycats go online to gloat. They go on social media and post what they've done. Here is the latest. Earlier, covered in glass. Now it's boarded up. The owners arrived and thought, okay, someone must have been breaking in, but then they went inside. The evidence, here it is. The evidence everywhere, bullet holes in the wall, glass inside, even in the furniture. It's when police arrived that evidence was found. The owners figure it all happened around 3 a.m. Thankfully, when nobody was here, they tell us that earlier someone was demanding money, and they said, well, then this happened after they said no. Like we keep seeing over and over. Again, police believe it's not just one group. It could be copycats.
I have no doubt that there are people out there who are trying to make a name for themselves. A lot of times what these people do is they'll record themselves on social media and then post it for all the people to see. What they want is they want the public to be afraid. They want us to be afraid.
And 7 or 8 bullets is what they figure went through those doors earlier. They say someone definitely knows who did this. There are surveillance cameras all over this complex. They already have footage. Mi Jung.
St. John Alexander reporting live tonight from Surrey. An investigation is underway after shots were fired at a North Vancouver home early this morning. Sources tell CTV News this house on Toll Cross Road is owned by the man who was arrested and released after a 10-year-old boy was killed in a June boat crash in Cates Park. No charges have been laid in that case. Officers were called to the home around 4 a.m. after the owner reported hearing a loud bang and then discovered bullet holes. No one was injured. RCMP say the motive is unclear, but there is no known threat to public safety. Anyone with surveillance or dash cam video is asked to come forward. BC's wildfire season isn't over yet. An out-of-control blaze in the Fraser Canyon has triggered evacuation alerts and an air quality warning. And on Vancouver Island, crews are battling another new fire as officials urge people to take extra precautions during this late summer heat wave. CTV's Ben Nesbitt reports.
Firefighters are working on steep terrain as they contain the Sailor Bar fire north of Yale. The blaze started Saturday and has reached about 120 hectares. Evacuation alerts are in effect for more than 80 properties, and CN rail tracks through the area have been closed. Crews say conditions along the tracks remain stable.
There was no growth that occurred overnight on the railway level, and no infrastructure is currently threatened.
The BC Wildfire Service says ground crews are being supported by helicopters. The fire is believed to be human-caused, and officials are urging people to be cautious during this late summer heat wave.
We do have this warming, drying condition, which is very unique for late August after a period of extended drought in the summer. So our fuels are very susceptible to ignition and spread.
On Vancouver Island, power has been restored for 500 customers impacted by the Mount Underwood fire near Port Alberni.
There's some challenges, certainly. It wasn't one of the easier jobs, that's for sure.
BC Hydro had originally aimed to restore service by August 30th, although crews volunteered to come back from holidays to pitch in, replacing more than 60 poles while running roughly 6 kilometers of line through the unstable fire zone.
We had to bring in veg crews to make it safe out there. Remove any trees, any threat of trees coming down on top of the lines we're going to add, on top of our crews when they're working there.
Around 70 wildfires are currently burning across BC. With high temperatures and no rain in sight, crews will stay on high alert, monitoring the flames and working to keep communities safe. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News.
Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim and his ABC Council are under fire tonight for violating the city's code of conduct. The city's Integrity Commissioner concluded they held closed-door meetings about things that should have been debated publicly. But as CTV's Ben Milger reports, they'll face no penalties and taxpayers could be on the hook for their legal bills.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
The business of City Council is meant to take place in public. In fact, the Vancouver Charter mandates it. A new report from the city's Integrity Commissioner has found Mayor Ken Sim and his ABC colleagues have been predetermining council business out of the public eye.
They don't believe that those rules apply to them. And that is a fundamental problem.
In his complaint, Green Party councillor Pete Fry alleged it happened 6 different times. The Integrity Commissioner found wrongdoing on the part of ABC in 2 instances. In one email thread, councillor Brian Montague asks just a clarification. Moving A and supporting with D amended, but are we voting down B?
If those of ABC amendments are actually being preconceived and thought out ahead of time to appear to be spontaneously, that gives everything a more feeling of almost subterfuge, trying to pull a fast one on the voting public.
The commissioner says gathering evidence was difficult because the mayor and ABC councillors often use personal emails to discuss city business and have a Signal group chat which auto-deletes messages. In a statement, the mayor says, "We respect the role of the Integrity Commissioner, but we strongly disagree with elements of this report." He went on to say caucus meetings are a normal practice. In an email, a staffer in the mayor's office tells CTV News the complaint will ultimately cost taxpayers $200,000. Fry believes that's for ABC's lawyers.
They will come forward to an in-camera meeting of council and they will ask for the taxpayers of Vancouver to cover the legal fees that ABC used to block the investigation by the Integrity Commissioner.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's outrageous.
There will be no consequences because it would be up to council to vote on any sanctions. With all the ABC members implicated, they're in a conflict and unable to participate. The non-ABC councillors do not meet the minimum quorum of 6 to bring it to a vote. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
It's the framework for reconciliation, and BC is the only province to have adopted the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, also known as UNDRIP. But a new poll finds British Columbians are at odds with the way the province endorsed it. CTV's Rob Buffum has more.
British Columbians appear divided on DRIPA, the legislation BC passed in 2019 to align with UNDRIP, the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples.
British Columbians are pretty attuned to that, and they're quite divided.
The legislation recognizes Indigenous rights and title and involves First Nations in decisions about public land and development. An Angus Reid poll shows 39% of those surveyed think it's necessary. Even more think the laws go too far in limiting provincial authority over land and resources.
Reconciliation of the rights of these groups that were here versus the challenges of land and development.
This Indigenous leader says he's not surprised by the poll.
BC has always carried a history of somewhat adverse relations towards the First Nations people.
Tension over Indigenous land title and rights was sparked after the poll was conducted with the recent decision in Cowichan Tribes, the court granting Aboriginal title over land owned by the City of Richmond and the Crown that includes private property, a decision that triggered a quick appeal by the province. The Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation Minister responded to the poll.
I have to be sure that I'm being transparent with British Columbians. I'm upfront about what we're trying to do, which is about unlocking huge economic potential with First Nations people.
BC is the only province in Canada to pass UNDRIP legislation. The poll shows a majority want to see a referendum on that. 57% of NDP supporters in favor, and nearly 70% of BC Conservatives want a referendum.
If you look at the numbers, it suggests that it would be an interesting vote.
The province says there will be no referendum, but it has plenty of work ahead to provide clarity for Indigenous peoples and those concerned about the path to reconciliation.
Rob Buffum joins us live now from Victoria. Rob, what else did the poll say about how NDP and Conservative voters feel about UNDRIP?
Well, Mijung, it does certainly break down along party lines. For example, 54%, a majority of NDP voters do support it and think it's necessary, while on the other hand, 76% of BC Conservative voters who are surveyed oppose it. That said, it's not a slam dunk for the NDP because while they have a modest majority on this issue, there is 29% of their voters who had opposed it. So their messaging is a little bit more tricky on this issue compared to the Conservatives who have openly said they would repeal UNDRIP. Mijung.
Rob Buffum reporting live tonight from Victoria. Former TV personality Dr. Oz is adding his voice to calls for Canada to save nearly 400 ostriches destined for death in the interior. The birds survived an avian flu outbreak at Universal Ostrich Farm back in December. The farm in Edgewood has been fighting a cull order from the federal government ever since, but lost its appeal last week. Oz, who now works as the chief of Medicare and Medicaid, believes the birds are now immune to avian flu and says they should be studied in the name of science.
We have an incredible opportunity to advance science. These birds are able to withstand this potentially devastating H5N1 avian flu virus. And why would we throw away this unique wisdom?
He says U.S. officials are ready to lead the research. The farm is also being backed by American billionaire John Katzimatidis and U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So far, that hasn't swayed the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which maintains the birds could still carry and spread the virus. Two Coquitlam-based businesses are getting a major boost thanks to millions of dollars in federal funding aimed at growing clean technology.
Through the projects like this, Pacific Can's partnering so we can boost these sustainable technologies, create lots more jobs, particularly in these times when we're trying to strengthen Canada's economy first and foremost.
Pacific Can is investing more than $6.8 million in the companies. Moment Energy will receive nearly $5 million to expand technology that extends the life of EV batteries and lowers energy costs. While Novo Textile Company will see more than $1.8 million to grow its textile recycling capacity. Back to school is right around the corner, but for some families, this is a financially challenging time. That's where agencies like the Salvation Army step in to fill the gap. But the BC Teachers Federation says families shouldn't be relying on charities for their kids' school supplies. CTV's Dimitra Maragos reports.
The opening of a pencil case, or zipping up their new backpack, isn't something every child in the province gets to experience.
They're falling down.
That's where Salvation Army Gateway of Hope steps in.
They can just focus on school and not worry about, will I have a pencil or a book or the necessary things I need today.
Dan Donkers, the operations manager, says the demand for their back-to-school fundraiser keeps growing.
We have about 750 that we're going to be delivering this Thursday.
Those 750 backpacks donated to the Langley School District are filled with binders, pencil cases, writing tools, and other supplies to set children K-12 up for the year.
It just helps them just have a good head start to the year so that they're ready to go.
But it's not just students in the Langley School District who are in need of help. The Surrey School District putting out a call to action. More than 100 schools have requested a total of over 2,000 backpacks filled with new supplies, an increase of 800 from last year.
I'd say it's unprecedented.
Carol Gordon, the president of BCTF, saying districts asking for what she calls basics in the classroom is unsettling.
We shouldn't be doing the funding that the province should be doing.
We reached out to Education Minister Lisa Baer. In a statement, she says the sector is facing pressure this year. Our government has protected core funding for education and have actually increased it by over $300 million. BC teachers are scheduled to go back to negotiations at the end of October after their current agreement expired at the end of June. But Gordon says funding for students is always top of mind.
We're continue to advocate for better funding for schools, better funding for classrooms so that students have their needs met.
Demetra Marigo, CTV News, Langley.
BCIT students have more options for affordable housing with the new residence now open on the Burnaby campus.
This goes so much beyond just a place to live. This is such a key piece to student experience as a whole and academic success.
The 12-story tall timber building is BCIT's first new student housing project in more than 40 years. It adds 469 beds, more than doubling the number of on-campus housing spaces. Officials say the new building not only eases the student housing crunch, but also creates a welcoming community complete with study spaces, a common area, and an outdoor plaza. A rare treat for people near Victoria's Inner Harbour, a front row seat to a pod of orcas, also ahead.
It is the largest supercomputer in Canada.
Cutting-edge technology at SFU to drastically speed up the search for life-saving medication. Why it's personal for one of the researchers. When CTV News continues, stay with us. Researchers at SFU are using an $80 million state-of-the-art supercomputer to power AI software aimed at creating life-saving medication. As CTV's Kevin Chirac reports, the professor in charge calls it the most exciting research he's been part of in decades.
We start with a certain molecule fragment.
Professor Martin Nestor says new research out of Simon Fraser University is using AI to help speed up the development of new and potentially life-saving medication.
I've done research in AI for 20 plus years, and this is the most significant application of our AI or machine learning research that we have accomplished so far.
His PhD student, 25-year-old Tony Shen, created the software program. He says finding the right drug molecules to combat disease is like sifting through millions of grains of sand to find a few golden nuggets. But his program, he says, can speed up and simplify the process.
And this is where generative AI could really come in, where generative AI could design directly the molecule that could inhibit protein and cure the disease, potentially.
The project is powered by SFU's most cutting-edge innovation, an $80 million supercomputer launched this summer.
So this is FIR. It's our brand new academic supercomputer. It is the largest supercomputer in Canada.
For Shen, the work takes on a very personal meaning.
I lost my grandparents to cancer, and I essentially heard from doctor that there is just no available treatment for their disease because it was too late stage.
He says his program has already drawn interest from drug companies, and they're now collaborating with the Vancouver Prostate Center to develop and test the medication.
Going to significantly speed up the process of drug discovery, and it may save lots of lives.
Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Burnaby.
Some oceanside diners in downtown Victoria got a little show with their meal this weekend when a couple of killer whales popped by for a visit. Talk about a close encounter. This video was shot right from the dock just outside the office of BC Whale Tours. Onlookers were in awe as the killer whales came up for air right in front of them before swimming off into the distance.
Wow, that is amazing.
I know. You didn't even have to get on a boat.
You didn't have to pay or anything. That was a free show.
Just stand at the inner harbor.
All right, now I know where to go now.
Yeah, get on the ferry to Victoria.
And just stand there and watch them never come again because I'm there. But a beautiful day to go whale watching and really to do anything outside. Still on the hot side. We are still going to see above seasonal temperatures as we head into the next few days. Here's a look at temperatures right now across the lower mainland. 28 at the harbor, 30 degrees in Burnaby right now. You're looking at 31s in Surrey and in Chilliwack. A touch cooler, but still very hot. Pitt Meadows and Abbotsford sitting at 29 degrees right now. So it'll be a mild overnight, 16 degrees into tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. 26 degrees near the water, 31 degrees inland. So make sure you stay cool, stay hydrated, and slap on that sunscreen.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next trip by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
And the sunshine continues as we head into, believe it or not, September. Yes, the Labor Day long weekend coming up. And it does get a little cooler, though, those details coming up.
Well, at least this week we have a blast of sunshine before the kids go back to school,
Exactly.
Right?
And then rain. No, just kidding. It'll stay dry.
We'll see what happens. Okay, thanks, Ann. Be prepared to wait a long time if you want to resolve a complaint about air travel, the growing backlog. Also ahead.
I don't think we should ever be in a situation where someone can block an event or a parade, especially Capital Pride.
But that's exactly what happened. Pro-Palestinian activists stopped Ottawa's Pride Parade in its tracks. What they were demanding from organizers and the mayor ahead. Prime Minister Mark Carney is making big pledges about Canada's defense spending as he looks to strengthen partnerships between Canada and Poland. This morning in Warsaw, Carney stressed that Canada is committed to meeting NATO's 2% of GDP spending target this year and a new target of 5% by 2030. Later, Carney and his Polish counterpart recommitted to an agreement signed last year, but now focusing on trade, defense, and energy. Poland is the fastest growing economy in the EU, and Canada is looking to diversify alliances in the face of U.S. tariffs.
Our trade relationship last year grew by something like 22% in a single year. So the appetite is really there. It also means that people are kind of knocking on our door more.
Tomorrow, Carney is set to meet with officials and business leaders in Germany before wrapping up the trip in Latvia on Wednesday. It's all part of a European tour aimed at deepening trade and defense ties. Air Canada customers looking to file a complaint with a federal regulator over their experience during the flight attendant strike should be prepared to wait. The Canadian Transportation Agency says its backlog of air travel complaints stood at about 85,000 as of August 14th, 2 days before the strike even started. The backlog has been growing since new federal rules in 2019 set compensation amounts for flight delays and cancellations. The agency says it put in a new system in 2023 to increase its capacity to deal with complaints. But the number of grievances has also grown. There's fallout in Ottawa after Sunday's Pride Parade was abruptly cut short following a pro-Palestinian demonstration. As CTV's Josh Morano reports, this is the second year in a row that Ottawa's Pride has become the center of a dispute over pro-Palestinian solidarity.
The cancellation of Ottawa's Pride Parade is still in the mind of Julia Davids.
Just to see that they had to cancel thousands of people's performances was a little bit heartbreaking.
The parade stopped in its tracks in front of Parliament Hill on Sunday by the organization Queers for Palestine. protesters issuing a list of demands to Capitol Pride and asking for an apology from Mayor Mark Sutcliffe after he, along with several organizations and groups, boycotted the parade last year because of Capitol Pride's pro-Palestinian statement.
There is a clear message being sent from a massive amount of our queer community in Ottawa that our values are pro-Palestinian, that we do stand in solidarity. The mayor choosing to selectively be an ally is not how allyship works.
This year, the pro-Palestinian statement was removed from Capitol Pride's website, sparking more controversy. The mayor calling Sunday's protest inappropriate.
I don't think we should ever be in a situation where someone can block an event or a parade, especially Capitol Pride, make a bunch of demands, and unless those demands are met, then the parade or the event doesn't go ahead, because what's the list of demands going to be next time?
Capitol Pride did not respond to CTV Ottawa's request for comment, but issued a statement on social media, writing after over an hour of attempting to resolve the stoppage, it became clear that Queers for Palestine was unwilling to engage in a good faith conversation and was insistent of misrepresenting our discussions.
We were already leaving, so I guess it's their call to do what they will with the parade that we had already agreed to leave.
For Davids, she says she understands why the protest happened, but says it still hurts knowing so many people in the community were affected.
This was a community organization that was part of the Pride Parade, so it's not like it was a separate group coming in and crashing the parade.
Josh Morano, CTV News.
Another Sedin is rising to sports greatness. The son of Henrik Sedin is representing Canada on the international soccer stage. Also ahead.
Historically, there was a sense of futility. I'll call, and they're going to have me wait 4 weeks, no matter what my situation, no matter what my needs.
With plenty of backlash against drug consumption sites, are more people able to get treatment when they want it? Penny Daflos begins her series on the toxic drug crisis. That's ahead. How to tackle the toxic drug crisis and respond to drug addiction are two of the most contentious issues in our province today. They're the source of much public arguing, but behind the scenes, the attitudes and responses are evolving. Today, CTV's Penny Daflos begins a special series diving into public health policy, harm reduction efforts, and the driving factors.
With its open drug use and squalor, Vancouver's downtown east side has drawn disdain and disgust for decades. But illicit drug users in British Columbia are more likely to die behind closed doors. When fentanyl first arrived in our province, 5 people overdosed at this Coquitlam home, with similar scenarios unfolding daily. Supervised consumption sites have saved thousands of lives, yet continue to generate controversy and political fireworks.
They're not safe. They are unsafe injection sites. They are drug dens.
We have hundreds of people on waiting lists looking for treatment.
At all levels of government.
Meant to be a contact point so we can get people into further treatment.
There are people on the streets that should be in treatment. They should be in recovery.
Year after year, as the death toll continues to rise.
To the Premier, given his abject failure of harm reduction, will you start an inquiry?
I couldn't feel more urgent about this issue. We've got thousands of people dying.
We're constantly evolving our services to meet the needs of the time, and certainly the toxic drug crisis has required us to do this in a continual way.
It's not just fentanyl in the illicit drug supply, but a toxic soup of random chemicals. Supervised consumption sites help keep people alive until the day they may be ready to enter treatment. That process is now changing with a phased rollout across BC.
Historically, there was a sense of futility. I'll call, and they're going to have me wait 4 weeks, no matter what my situation, no matter what my needs. And that is no longer the case. We now have a prioritization system, and we have a way of matching people to the right service at the right time so that nobody's having to have that really long wait without answers.
It's a matter of attitude and approach and understanding. And as to the people that are so hostile to drug-addicted people, I would say, what are you so hostile about?
Drug use is a complex issue with a constellation of potential policy responses and factors that can shift depending on how the political winds are blowing. The causes, however, remain consistent. In the next installment of this series, we examine why it may be more accurate to think of toxic drug deaths as deaths of despair. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
If you're trying to quit smoking, vaping is not the way to do it. That's according to new guidelines by the Canadian Task Force for Preventative Healthcare. The task force warns there's not enough long-term data on the safety of e-cigarettes, adding they don't reduce exposure to nicotine. Preferable options include nicotine replacements such as inhalers, patches, and gum, as well as behavioral interventions like counseling groups. A downpour drenched Oasis fans at Rogers Stadium in Toronto last night, but residents who live near the new stadium are fed up with a different kind of storm. And giving new meaning to fast food, Mexican food chain Chipotle is launching Chipotle, where a new drone delivery program is being tested. That's ahead. Taking a look at today's markets, the Canadian dollar traded for 72 cents on the American dollar. Crude oil was up $1.14 closing at nearly $65 a barrel. Gold saw a slight dip, selling for $3,400 an ounce. The TSX was down 163 points. Same with the Dow Jones, down 349 points. Chipotle is taking burritos to new heights as it rolls out a new drone delivery program. The Mexican fast casual chain is teaming up with drone delivery company Zipline to fly digital orders to customers through a new program dubbed Chipotle. A fleet of zero-emissions aircraft will be used to deliver orders up to 5.5 pounds, so about 5 burritos plus chips and guac. The program is currently being tested in Dallas, Texas, ahead of a broader launch. The unofficial start of fall arrives tomorrow as the pumpkin spice latte returns to Starbucks. The PSL, as fans call it, was first introduced by Starbucks in 2003 and has become its most popular seasonal drink. The coffee chain sells roughly 20 million worldwide each year. It will be available starting Tuesday, along with other fall favorites like the pumpkin cream cold brew and iced pumpkin cream chai. New to this year's lineup is the pecan oat milk cortado. That sounds good, but I'm not ready for pumpkin spice yet.
Too soon. Don't bring it back until October.
Exactly, because it definitely doesn't feel like fall around here.
No, we're going to continue to see above seasonal temperatures for the next few days, so maybe the iced version tomorrow, but yeah, definitely not pumpkin spice latte time yet, because our hotspot today across the country was in Lytton, 41.3 degrees, beating the record set back in 1934 at 37.2 degrees. It was a hot one, and it continues to be hot with warnings in place for inland sections of the North Coast, upwards of 29 degrees right through until Wednesday. And for the Fraser Canyon, North Thompson, and southern Okanagan, you'll see temperatures between 35 and 39 degrees right through until Friday. Also, you will see the dry conditions continue pretty much across the province with this huge ridge of high pressure dominating, and it will continue for the rest of the week. We will see dry conditions, but we will see a cooling as well as we head into the next few days. For the North Island, 18 degrees. You'll start off with cloud coverage for Port Hardy. It does clear up quite nicely. Hot temperatures for the southern interior. Your provincial forecast at the bottom of your screen. You'll see 28 degrees under mostly sunny skies for Campbell River and Comox. That's what you can expect for the South Island as well. From Tofino right down to Victoria, you're looking at temperatures between 21 to 35 degrees. Sunny skies once again for the Sunshine Coast with a high of 27. Hotter up the Sea to Sky Highway, 30 for Squamish, 32 for Whistler, and for us across the Lower Mainland, we're looking at sunny skies again, 25 degrees near the water, 31 degrees further inland. Heading into Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud, and 24, a touch cooler for Thursday, partly cloudy skies, and 22 degrees. On Friday, we'll see a few clouds, 23, and then heading into the Labor Day long weekend, Saturday and Sunday, back to seasonal temperatures at 21. Warms up once again as we head into Monday, holiday Monday. day, mostly sunny skies and 23 degrees. That's the unofficial start of fall as we head into school for the kids. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. Still very dry as we finish off October and August as we head into September, and it's looking like it'll warm up once again midweek next week as well. So summer's not over yet.
But usually late August, it feels, you know, like we're heading into fall,
exactly.
But not this year.
No, we'll wait and see.
Okay, thanks, Anne. Oasis will be back on stage in Toronto tonight after the band kicked off the North American leg of its reunion tour last night. It was the British rockers' first show in the city since 2008, and even a rainstorm couldn't dampen fan spirits. But as CTV's Raheem Ladani reports, it's a different story for those who live near the stadium.
Playing their hits in front of an estimated 50,000-person crowd. Fans rocked out to the brothers, Liam and Noel Gallagher, standing in the pouring rain, soaking up every moment.
Absolutely great. Really fun.
It was worth the rain, 100%. What a show.
Amazing show.
The last time we saw these guys was probably 1997, so almost 30 years ago.
Yes.
Worth the wait.
Worth the wait.
Oasis.
The show at Rogers Stadium last night was the start of the North American leg of the Oasis tour. The band hasn't played in Toronto since 2008, and this is the only Canadian stop.
There are just so many people who are in the same vibe, enjoying the music. It was so great.
However, as the band prepares to be back on the stage tonight, neighborhood residents continue to be frustrated by the traffic and noise disruptions the venue's summer concerts are having. The city has previously said all events have been compliant with permitted noise levels, but the area councillor says the stadium is too loud. James Pasternak writes in a statement, "These concerts can be heard miles away, and we feel the venue operator can turn down the volume significantly and still offer a strong concert experience. Something must be done. Just because it is technically in compliance does not mean it meets acceptable levels for the community." CTV News has reached out to Live Nation, which operates the venue, for a response, but has not heard back.
The World Cup trophy is in the house, or at least it was, after the break up close and personal with the most famous trophy in sports, plus building love. Adam finds out how a Canadian couple built an international love story out of Lego. Right now, here's a preview of CTV Morning Live.
1 in 3 kids in Canada are arriving at school hungry almost every day. Tuesday on CTV Morning Live, we'll tell you about a critical back-to-school fundraising campaign launching in BC. Plus, small businesses are being hit hard by the trade war, why they say a clear provincial strategy is desperately needed. See you in the morning.
News, weather, and traffic. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, weekdays 6 to 9.
Boy band? They're coming after the fans.
Netflix finally has a #1 movie at the box office thanks to its animated sensation, K-pop Demon Hunters. A sing-along version of the streaming hit was in the theaters over the weekend, earning an estimated $18 million US in just 2 days. It bumped the thriller Weapons down to #2 at the box office, while Freakier Friday fell to 3rd place. Henrik and Daniel Sedin made their mark on the ice with the Vancouver Canucks, and now the next generation is stepping into the spotlight. But this time, it's on the soccer pitch. Henrik Sedin's son, Walter, has been named to Canada's U18 men's soccer roster. The 18-year-old midfielder currently plays for Swedish club Hammarby U19 in Stockholm. Canada Soccer says Walter will join the team for 2 friendly games against Finland and Switzerland next month. With both Swedish and Canadian eligibility, he could have played for either side, but for now, he'll be wearing red and white for Canada. It's arguably the most famous trophy on the planet. Today, the World Cup paid a visit to our studio to appear on CTV Morning Live. This all comes ahead of the FIFA World Cup, which will be held in Canada, as well as the U.S. and Mexico, when play gets underway in June. The trophy was also on display at Jackpot Plaza this weekend, where crowds lined up for a chance to catch a glimpse or even a photo with the prize.
When you have these kind of moments, it lights what I call a pilot light in a young fan and a young athlete. So, which for us is what it's all about.
Next year's tournament is the first to be hosted across 3 countries and the first to feature 48 teams. A mini reunion for the cast of a classic 80s comedy unfolded at a Vancouver Canadians baseball game over the weekend. The stars of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Matthew Broderick and Alan Ruck, were spotted in the crowd as Vancouver beat the Tri-City Dust Devils on Saturday night. This time, instead of heckling batters, they led the crowd in a round of Take Me Out to the Ball Game during the 7th inning stretch.
That's
so cool. That's a treat for Canadians fans.
Awesome. I know. I went to the Nooner yesterday, so I just missed them.
Oh, darn. But I wonder if they knew back in '86 that their movie would become so iconic.
Everyone knows swing better, swing better.
Okay, well, it's the perfect ending to a tale of a missing cat. 2 weeks after Luigi vanished on a ferry, he's been found safe and sound at the Tsawwassen terminal.
Did you find that kitty? Yes, you did.
Hold on tight.
BC Ferry says a crew member had spotted the tuxedo cat under a trailer. That sighting prompting Halo's Pet Rescue, which has been leading the search, to bring in their tracking dog yesterday. Luigi's owner, Nelia Herbert, also coming down to the terminal from Vernon after hearing the news. Luigi was reluctant to come out of hiding, but once he heard Nelia's voice, he emerged, and the pair was happily reunited.
It was amazing. It was so good. It was like too good to be true. Nobody gave up hope. Everybody was committed to finding Luigi. I got so much mail and so many pictures of so many tuxedo cats that were found all around the province. And finally, yesterday, I got the one of Luigi that was the best picture to ever get.
Herbert says she's not sure how Luigi got off the ferry, but she's just grateful to have him back home. Incredible. He survived for 2 weeks at the Tsawwassen Ferry Terminal.
Good food on the ferry.
The clam chowder.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin's here with the look ahead to tonight's news at 11:30.
Well, Mijung, it was a busy weekend for search and rescue crews in Metro Vancouver. Some hikers were stranded without a few key essentials. We'll break it down at 11:30. Plus, we're keeping an eye on the out-of-control Sailor Bar wildfire north of Hope. Latest update has it at least 120 hectares in size, prompting 2 evacuation alerts by a local First Nation and the Fraser Valley Regional District. We will bring you the latest updates later tonight, plus all your late-breaking news at 11:30.
All right, thanks, Kevin. A first date foreshadowed the future of 2 Canadian students in more ways than one. The bricks and pieces they put together during it laid the foundation for their marriage and careers. Adam explains in tonight's Encore Sawatsky sign-off.
Chris was feeling nervous before his first real date with Laura.
That constant fear of like, what if there's an awkward silence?
Laura had talked with her fellow student at the University of Alberta before, but this was different.
There were some butterflies involved.
But then Chris suggested they spend their date building Lego.
Well, if there's silence, we just search for the next part and look for the next brick.
Although the industrial design students knew they could analyze why the toy worked so well, Laura and Chris never expected how playing together would feel so good.
That was the beginning of many Lego dates.
And assembling Cinderella's carriage that night was prophetic. What followed felt like a fairy tale. So Chris decided to celebrate their love by placing a surprise inside a resealed Lego box.
And I was like, we got a bonus Christmas gift inside of our Lego set. That's awesome.
And then that's when I opened it up.
And it's a ring box.
Got down on one knee and asked her to marry me.
And Laura said yes.
I'm absolutely thrilled to spend the rest of my life with this person.
A life that would be led far from their home in Canada. Chris was offered a design job at Lego headquarters in Denmark.
It was pinch me, I'm dreaming.
Laura and Chris got married in Edmonton before they moved, and their reception included these Lego brick centerpieces in their wedding colors. So, like their first date, their guests could play together.
And they built a huge spaceship, and they called it the relationship.
And after the couple blasted off to their new life together, Laura got a Lego job too.
It doesn't feel like work. We just enjoy each other's company. We just have a lot of fun.
She's designed Dot craft sets, Chris superhero movie sets, and now both collaborated on this office TV set.
So much of our lives are just us being silly and goofy together.
Stacking one fun moment after another together, building their happily ever after. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
That is awesome.
That's a great love story.
It's such a good idea for a first date because Lego can be frustrating.
Yes.
And so you're working together to kind of overcome those problems.
Or you know that it's not going to work out.
So it's a win-win either way.
Exactly. Yeah, and you're getting married pretty soon, Kevin.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, another love story here.
Yeah, we haven't played Lego yet, though, so maybe we should do that before we walk down the aisle.
All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot tonight. A beautiful photo of the sunrise at Queen Elizabeth Park. Thanks, Stephen, for sending this one in. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well, so email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
Yeah, clear skies ahead, right? And lots of sunshine. All right, thanks, Anne. And thank you for joining us. Kevin will be back at 11:30. Good night.